Canada-US trade talks are back on the menu. Mark Carney has assembled his new advisory committee for the trade talks with the United States. Surprise, surprise, it is composed of the ruling class elite and the political class who almost exclusively advocate for the interests of capital. Let's go over the list. We've got CEO, 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 President and CEO, conservative politician, another conservative politician. And I could go on. You get the rest. Completely out of touch with working class Canadians. There are like one or two union leaders there, but union leaders are furthest away from the day-to-day experiences of their workers. Carney and his cabal of CEO cronies are going to continue to advocate for the interests of capital, not the interests of Canadians. More neoliberal nonsense. These people aren't going to advocate for the working class in Canada. Nobody in Canada is saying, thank God we're so represented by the CEO executive class. They're totally in touch with things. I'm sure they have our best interests at heart. Come on, nobody's saying that. Here's the thing. I don't think Carney's gonna do good for Canadians in these trade deals. I hope I'm wrong. But he's proven time and time again that he's looking out for his capital-owning class buddies, Mark Carney's own class interests. This is textbook class warfare. If you like my content and want to hear more, please like and subscribe to my channel. Here's the deal with Mark Carney. He is a fascist, appeasing, wealthy, ruling class elite. Mark Carney is completely okay with Canada being a militarized petrostate subservient to the dying US empire. But he doesn't like the trade disputes because that rocks the capitalist boat. And once you understand that framing, it starts to make a lot more sense. Mark Carney's trade strategy has been and will continue to be don't rock the boat, to keep the capital-owning class happy while trying to appease Donald Trump. Try and keep Trump's ire pointed elsewhere and cross your fingers. Now, the US empire is reportedly demanding an entry fee for trade talks to continue with Canada. This is an obvious shakedown by Trump, who simply cannot be trusted. Trying to appease the bully is a losing strategy. Children understand this. Canada's world banker elite is being outsmarted by children and a demented old guy with his brains leaking out of his ear. This is a shakedown. Giving into it is a recipe for disaster. And we know this because Canada under Mark Carney has already given concession after concession without getting anything in return. This is a strategy of appeasement, and it's already failed. Carney has conceded to the fascist demands. Mark Carney dropped reciprocal tariffs against the United States. Mark Carney ended the digital services tax, which was a small tax on the largest American tech companies like Netflix. Carney cut their taxes to appease Donald Trump. And Carney agreed to increase Canada's military spending to 5% of its GDP, which is a disturbing level of militarization that we have not seen in Canada since World War II. All paid for with working class Canadians' resources stolen through austerity. Yay! That's 3 massive concessions already given to Donald Trump without a single win for Canada. What I like to call that is losing, and losing bigly. And that's part of Carney's strategy of don't rock the boat. He has just been giving in and in and in to Donald Trump's requests, hoping that it'll keep him happy. That's not how this works. Capital interests aren't exclusive with being a militarized petrostate for the United States empire. As a matter of fact, they go hand in hand. Carney is completely okay with US empire. Carney has said that Canada will be a willing participant with the Golden Dome project.
Is the Golden Dome part of today's strategy? Are you still committed to invest money in the Golden Dome? What's the status of the current talks over this?
It's under development, and if it's in the right interests of Canada, and I think there are certainly many scenarios where it will be in the right interests of Canada, we will be a willing participant.
Allowing the Golden Dome to be built in Canada would be welcoming fascist military installations to be installed across the country. And this would just put a massive target on Canada's back, or the US empire's enemies. I question someone's mental sanity if they're saying, yep, I want those fascist military installations here, here, and here.
We have an ability, if we so choose, to complete the Golden Dome.
Nobody wants that in Canada, and on the negotiations themselves, it's almost impossible to negotiate with a fascist like Donald Trump. If you're showing up to a negotiation, like doing a marketplace interaction, if you show up and then you know that like that guy on the other side of this is a disgusting fascist freak, and the freak's demanding money just to get the conversation started, maybe you need to reevaluate what your strategy is. How do you negotiate with a fascist who just started World War Epstein, plunging the world into a catastrophic food and energy crisis, the likes of which we've never seen, all while committing many, many war crimes and atrocities against people of Iran, Lebanon, and Palestine? This guy's setting the world on fire, and then you're supposed to like just go into a negotiation being like, yeah, this is cool, this is fine. This is impossible to negotiate with in any good faith, in any faith at all. How do you have any faith in a trade deal with a freakish monster who already signed the previous trade deal that you negotiated with him several years ago? You can't trust him. Time could be on Canada's side for these trade negotiations. And it could be even more so on Canada's side if Canada's going around and building leverage. Bilateral trade talks between the global hegemon empire and one of its vassal states like Canada will always be an unfair negotiation. That's why Canada needs to build leverage. And Canada could and should generate leverage whichever way possible. Look, defeating bullies is easier when you have the numbers. Canada should be partnering with countries like China, Mexico, Brazil, global south countries. There are so many countries out there, and there are ways to generate leverage against the United States. Get the leverage by increasing industrial trade relations and cultural ties. This eats away at Canada's complete reliance on the US empire. Another sign that he's not going to challenge Trump is how Carney continues to be a dog for US empire. Throughout Mark Carney's entire tenure, he has materially and politically supported Israel amidst their and apartheid of Palestinians, and their many ongoing wars of aggression. Carney's ideologically committed to Zionism, which means Canada is already led by a fascist-aligned global banker elite.
You know, a Zionist, if you will, Palestinian state.
He's okay with Israel's continuation of their crimes and conquest. His ideological commitment is why he continues to arm and enable Israel. Since Carney won't stand up for victims of and apartheid, he's not going to stand up for working class Canadians who are suffering amidst the ongoing crises that they are facing. Housing crisis, affordability crisis, climate disaster crisis, healthcare crisis. It's just going poorly, and Mark Carney's not doing anything about it. He's too busy preoccupied helping Israel and trying to build metal tubes with tar flowing through them. It's 800 IQ stuff. You probably don't understand it. Mark Carney takes you for a idiot. He's pulling a massive grift off against the whole country of Canada. He is plundering it for the benefit of the capital-owning class. His buddies. Everybody on that advisory council. Oh, those are my thoughts on the recent developments of the Canada-US trade debacle. I'm always hoping for the best, but the past track record of Mark Carney shows things aren't going to get better. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Free Palestine. Take care, everyone. Until next time, bye-bye.